All right, folks. This is the one you have all been waiting for. Carpe Donktum is going to join us in a second. I have to restart this broadcast because I am a boomer. Full boomer. No apologies. And he's going to join us in 1 minute. I had to restart, like I just said. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk to him about since the guy has been booted off of Twitter in a very heavy-fisted, ham-fisted move on the part of the social media giant. And I hope you all are doing okay on this lovely Friday night. I'm just going to give him a second to get here. It was very rainy today, thunderstormy in New York. Oh yeah, and we're starting this just as I was just nuking. I'm wearing gold like Joe Jorgensen. I'm a libertarian. Hello, good sir. Hope all is well. Yes, all is very, very well. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stephen. Very kind of you. That was so funny. Some guy came at me today. He's like, "Oh, you're just trying to be a dick." I'm like, "Oh, well, here's a dick move. Let me just buy myself a diorama." Mike, you are my favorite Republican. What about Phil Graham? What about Phil Graham? Let me just remind the locals. Join us right now. Live stream. Done. Okay. Where's Dunk? What happened to him? That's weird. He was just here a second ago. Now you get to watch me sit here and drink my shake. I don't understand. Oh, hold on. So, love you for life. Happy Friday. Hey, girl. Hey, humbug. Eliza Blue. White poles in the house. I don't know what that means. What do you mean white poles? White poles. Am I missing something? I don't know. Happy Friday up in this B word. The B word is Republican. Is it? I'm texting him now. We're friends. All the cool kids hang out together. That's why you never see Tom Woods on here. I said the cool kids. Okay. What else can I talk to you guys about? I'm looking at like cool stuff I have at arm's length that has been spite funded. And love this week of nonstop content. I have been content all week. Thank you. I appreciate that. You are too pretty to be Carpe Donktum. Donk, why are you not logging in? I linked you. What is this tomfoolery? I don't understand. I am too pretty. That is not gonna lie. I seasoned my food to own the libs. Also voting L to repeal certain laws. Good. You should own yourself. That's what you need to own. Oh my God, that was supposed to say white pills in the house. Yes, I have many, many white pills, and like any old person, I have my bookcase right here. So, where is very failed memer Carpe Donktum? There he is. I'm adding him right now. Are you there, Donk? It's me, Margaret.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Now, you are located. Are you allowed to tell us what state you're in?
Yeah, I'm in Kansas.
Okay, so I want to just give a little background for people who don't know who you are and who don't know how to use Google. BuzzFeed was doing an article on you. You were Trump's favorite meme maker, and they were threatening to dox you. Did they, in fact, end up doxing you?
I mean, sort of. They doxed my name, which was, I mean, it was sort of a fine line between doxing because, and just like publicly putting out information that was there. Because, like 4 years ago, I didn't have any anonymity because I wasn't really doing anything. I was just
Sure.
I was a dude that commented on Royals games and things like that. So I didn't really have any distance between me and my name. So they put that out there because apparently I think what happened was Scott Adams had quoted me at some point in one of his articles, and so that stayed up forever. Like it was like a screenshot of the tweet instead of whatever. But I mean, you had to search my name and my handle at the same time to find me. So it was still doxing as far as I'm concerned. No normal person would have gone and found it. You had to really look. But
did you have any negative consequences as a result of that?
Well, I got a lot of hate mail. I got a lot of people taking screenshots from Google Earth of my house, things like that, sending it to me. So that's pretty gross. But in the end, nothing really happened. It's not like I didn't have protesters on my lawn or anything like that. So
now you recently were kicked off Twitter unceremoniously. Did they give you any heads up that this was going to be happening?
No. So I the morning of, I got an email saying you've gotten a DMCA takedown, which is something that I sort of get regularly. And then about 2 hours later, I got you've been permanently suspended, or you've been suspended from Twitter for multiple violations, and that was basically it. And then that was really the last communication I heard from Twitter. Have
you heard from anyone in the campaign or anything like that? Have you reached out to them?
I've talked to people in the campaign and things like that. I won't tell you exactly what we've talked about, but sure. Everybody's reached out to me. So if you can think of a person you know from Twitter, they've reached out to me. So
I think it's interesting because this seems so heavy-handed on their part and transparent.
Yeah, you would think that they would be a little more cautious, I guess, about this kind of stuff. But there's things that are going on. I've got several teams of lawyers, and we're working on different angles and things like that. So I am hopeful, but I'm not putting it all in, putting all eggs in one basket. But I think that we'll be able to get a reversal on it.
Oh, okay. One of your attorneys is Ron Goldman, correct?
Yes.
My buddy, who's the best.
Right. Both of our buddy. I met him several times in DC and during my trips there. So he's been a good friend.
Let's see what the Cretans have to say. Fun question to throw around. What's more important, compliance of the governed or consent of the governed? That's not a fun question. What do you think? What do you think, Doc?
Compliance of the government or consent of the governed?
Compliance. Compliance is more important.
Those aren't really mutually exclusive, are they?
Yeah, I agree.
So I would say compliance is up to you, and the government should always have consent of the government.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. That's the thing.
Isn't that sort of what we're all trying to get to? Is
exactly. My brother says he's reading the Turner Diaries, which I bought my copy of the Turner Diaries at the bookstore that was at the World Trade Center, and swears it is not a radical or racist book. He claims it's deeply conservative. Is it true? It is very racist. There is no possibility you're going to read it and not think it's racist.
So I don't even know what that is.
The Turner Diaries is the book that Timothy McVeigh had under his pillow.
Okay.
Like literally, and like it's a very radical vision of like fallen America. It's a classic text in the alt-right tradition. It's not deeply conservative. It's about, there's a lot of violence in it. It's not this boomer talk at all. So now, whether you should be worried, I'm not going to say that, but it's not possible that you don't think it's radical. That's even more nonsensical. How did Howard Zinn's version of American history become so influential? That's easy. College. College is when the people get infected, and then they spread their infection throughout the nation. And you're seeing Howard Zinn's children all growing up. He was an actual Marxist. Companies have the right to ban who they want, but how do we convince them they shouldn't embrace cancel culture? I don't know if market forces solve it in time. Donk, you also have a line of face masks, which I could use because I'm so ugly. Let's talk about that for a second. What is the URL for people to be able to get them? And I'll put that in the show notes right now.
There isn't one. I'm not selling them.
Oh, okay. I thought on Instagram.
Well, I know, but that was sort of a fake post because I bought some just for myself.
You're fake news. You're fake news.
I know. No, I don't do merchandise. I think it's sort of weird, so okay. I don't do it. But yeah, so I had a bunch made up. So I got the Conan the Barbarian, Trump and I don't know, Trump the Barbarian, and then I got.
I like that one.
And then
Meme World.
And then the artwork is by Leanne Brown.
Oh, okay.
So awesome.
What do you think about this question, though?
Companies have the right to ban who they want to.
I know my answer. I want to hear
your answer. Companies have the right to ban who they want. So I have several answers on this, because I think in certain things, I think there's different situations. Like I've always contended that that Twitter has become like a public space, and the courts have also said that at least Trump's Twitter account is a public space. Mm-hmm. So
that is key.
So I think if you they also take money from the government, obviously, in the form of kickbacks on not being sued for different things, and the section 230.
Yeah. I think that's what it
is. So yes, Twitter is a public company, but at the same time, it's not a public company. So I think that you could make an argument that they have to uphold at least free speech, at least lawful speech. They have to uphold. Right. Yeah, I mean, you can't make them allow people to trade secrets on how to make bombs and things like that. But you can tell them that they can't ban somebody for having an opinion that is not a violent opinion. Let's just say a violent opinion. So anyway, I would say, but when it comes to like stores and things like that, those are not public spaces. So I went to Cheesecake Factory today for lunch, and I had to wear a mask to get in the door.
Yeah.
And now that's the only case that I would wear a mask, because I don't really think that being out in public, you need to wear that stuff. But if I want to eat at Cheesecake Factory, I do have to wear one. But they're also not taking money from the government. So, there's all of those different things. But go ahead on your answer to it.
Well, I had that tweet recently that said, if this were the French Revolution, IKEA would be strategizing about how to get their names on the guillotines. So I think the answer to that question is I don't think the same corporate culture. I thought Black Lives Matter was a joke 3 years ago, right? When they were blocking traffic and going into diners and yelling at people. And now they can't bending over fast enough to have that as their signage. I'm going to sound like a hardcore lefty, and I don't care. Someone once had this quote, and I wish I could remember who, that if a corporation were a human being, it would be a sociopath. Their job is to pick who they think is going to be the winning side. Right. And you don't want to be the first one to stop clapping for Stalin. You don't want to be that one company who's odd man out because, like, wait a minute, we're all for this. Why aren't you for this? It's like when Arizona didn't want to have Martin Luther King Day. They're like, what does he have to do with us? It's like, you're the only one. What's the matter? Why is it so important to you, right? So they very quickly have to have this herd mentality. So the way to convince them not to embrace corporate culture is to have consequences and to stigmatize cancel culture. And that's the only way to do it and have a cost for them. Here's one way that the right has won in this. You can't show someone on a sitcom being a racist in like a positive or neutral light, and you can understand why. You also can't have someone really having an abortion. That's like if you watch any show when a girl gets pregnant, it's a given she's going to have the kid. They almost pretend abortion doesn't happen unless it's specifically to promote abortion, and that is one area where the right has used stigma effectively.
They would totally cancel that. Like if a sitcom started to go down the should we do the abortion thing, that would be like the end of that show.
Yeah, it would be very dangerous. What is a good? Oh, sorry, I missed one. Hey boys, Carpe, are you memeing as an artist with the MAGA crowd as your muse, or do the political views match your own? That's a great question from Greg. He's Canadian, so you don't have to really care about what he says.
So they do match my own. Like I've said this before, like I could go to the left and just make lots and lots of money. Like
wait, but then how would you be able to meme if you're on the left? It doesn't make sense.
Well, no, I think I could do it. I think I could do it. I could do it. But I basically what I'm saying is like I have no desire to do that. Like if I was just doing this because I wanted to either be famous or something like that, I could be extremely famous on the left.
Oh yeah,
easily. People were bowing down and worshiping that scene that somebody took from the end of the Endgame thing, and they just put little titles on it, and they didn't even move the titles around. They just put titles like, "Oh, here's the K-pop people. They're coming to save everybody," and like it's so terrible.
What about the Obama poster, Obey? I mean, Shepard Fairey was known for a lot of stuff beforehand, but I mean, how much bank did he make on that? It must be insane.
Oh, I'm sure
it was everywhere.
Yeah. So anyway, the my opinions that come out in my memes are mine. I mean, it matches up, and that's why I get annoyed when people are like, "You should just stick to memes, bro." I'm like, "No, these are my opinions, man. Like my memes are my opinions. So why are you saying I can't have opinions outside of like a video?" People
resent anyone who's multifaceted.
Right.
You're the meme guy. Stay in your lane. Don't do anything more nuanced, because then I have to look at you as a human being instead of a machine that produces output. And that is, they don't want your enemies to want to see you as a human being, because if you're out of work and out of a home, they don't have to feel bad. And at the same time, often your allies don't want to see you as a human being, because you're there to make the memes. Go make the memes, meme monkey, and sit down and shut up. And but you see this from both sides, and it's a little disturbing, and I get it a lot as well. Like sometimes they'll tell me to stick to stop with your jokes, and I'm like, this is part of who I am.
Well, what is it good? I was just gonna say that's also why like reporters won't actually call me. Right. They'll write a story about me, but they won't call me, because if they call me, they have to quote me accurately, or they might have to quote me accurately. So they don't want to hear about when they ask me a question and I give them an answer, they're not expecting like, do you always agree with Trump? And I say, no, I don't always agree with him. I don't have to always agree with him.
Right.
So things like that. It's, if you can remove that human equation, then you can make somebody into whatever, thing you want. Go ahead.
What is a good POA book for the socially awkward? Do they mean pickup artist book?
That seems
What's
right.
POA. I would recommend. I haven't read many of them. I would recommend The Game, because it's just very well written. Protection of assets. I don't know what that means. If that's what I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that acronym, Cisco. How do you feel about Parler? So now you're over at Parler. What is your handle over there? So I can put that in the.
It's the same. It's Carpe Donktum.
It's parler.com.
Oh, it's it's parler.com/Carpe Donktum.
Okay, I'm adding that right now. Save changes. Okay. How do you feel about Parler?
So I've gone back and forth on it. I think it's a good place for somebody to land. My issue is not with Parler at all. I think that I think they've gotten a huge influx of people, and they're working hard to fix all of the little cracks and things like that were fine when it was less users, but have been amplified now. But my contention has always been with abandoning field of battle, which I feel which I feel like Twitter is a field of battle. So as much as I appreciate what alternate social media, like I've got Clout Hub is another place that I live stream there and I post on there. I've got my locals with Dave Rubin, his website. I've got a bunch of different things, but Twitter is still where you interact with the other side, because the other side is not going to come to Parler to interact. They'll come to Parler to screenshot you and then take it back to Twitter. Yeah.
It's a ghetto.
So I've just always thought that was that alternate platforms are really, really good. to give people a voice that once they're already silenced. But you really should be trying to fight on the platforms that they don't want, because that's they want you to be gone from those platforms. So you're really giving up ground by saying, oh, well, I'm just leaving. And that's proof of that would be that Parler trended for 2 days on Twitter after I got banned. Now, why would Twitter allow Parler, a competition, to trend for 2 days? Because they want people to leave. Like they curate their trending. So
they have no problem kicking things off of trending when they want to. Right.
So you have to ask that question of why was it allowed to trend? Because it really was allowed to trend. There's no amount of tweets you can put onto something that will just, oh, we can't suppress it. No, they just say, no, this is not trending anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many tweets are on it. So you have to ask that question.
So here's something, breaking news. Roger Stone his sentence wasn't parted, it was just commuted. This is happening as we speak.
Sweet.
And we're saying hi to Joe in Detroit. Hey, Joe. Okay, Donk. Obviously, the left can't meme, but neither can the trad cons. That's very true. Seeing how they lost not the trad cons, thinking about the boomer cons. The trad cons, seeing how they lost.
What are the trad cons?
The traditional conservatives.
Oh,
they're like
gotcha.
Like the real, kind of old school. How does Trump avoid getting attacked from the farther right?
I don't know that he can avoid it, because that's sort of what the farther right does. Is the two ends of the political spectrum meet at the end. So you got the far left and the far right, and they're really not that far apart, and they all just attack everybody that's on the outside. So I don't think that you can do enough to make the far right or the extremely far right stop attacking you. I mean, short of embracing everything that they want, which is not something you could do politically.
But then they're still infighting, because then you're controlled opposition, or you're this or you're that. It's not an option. How do you make a bomb? Well, I don't think we need to answer that question. Kanye versus The Rock, who you all got? I'm obviously going to be. I would say obviously. I would go. I don't know. That's a good question. I would say that I don't know. The Rock, I think I would go for.
Yeah, I mean that would be tough. I don't know. I like Kanye, and I don't know. I think I know more of Kanye's politics than I do of The Rock's. So I think I would have to see what does a Kanye platform look like? I mean, maybe we'll see that in the next month as he's deciding about this whole thing.
Sure.
But what would a Rock platform look like? I mean,
no to scissors. Should Trump preemptively pardon Biden and expressly list his alleged crimes? My understanding is you can't do that the person has to have been already found guilty. So you can't preemptively pardon someone.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, because they were talking about being able to do pardons of people, preemptive pardons, like for.
Let me look this up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure the legal ramifications of that.
Because Nixon was actually being charged with things. Pardon only to convictions. The pardon power of the president only applies to convictions under federal law. Then how did Ford pardon Nixon? Ford pardon. That's really weird. That doesn't make sense then.
Well, it's possible that just it's one of those rules.
Oh, it's retroactively. Okay.
Okay.
Huh. That's very weird. Okay. So no wonder it was controversial. It was controversial because he hasn't been found guilty yet.
Right.
Not only because he pardoned him. I thought perhaps you're apolitical and anarchist, a monarchist, etc., and the MAGA crowd was a better way to fight the cathedral. Didn't imply views for money. Thanks for answering. No, I don't think that was your implication, Greg, at all. That's not how I took it. I don't think anyone's accusing you of being like a whore for MAGA. No? What do I know? We got one from Nico. Hold on, I'm missing it. There's so many of you guys. Okay, slow down. Okay. What's the origin story of your alias, Carpe Donktum?
The origin story of it is, I think in 1996, 95. In high school, that was my first Yahoo account.
Oh.
and it really literally did mean seize the donkey and pretend Latin. Now why it meant that, I don't know that it was completely political, but I mean it was sort of political, but I couldn't actually tell you the exact reason why I chose that. But then that's just ever since. So it's now what, 24 years old?
Yeah.
So
why do the black pill cling so hard to it, as in they will dismiss any ounce of optimism? That's easy. Black pill means hopelessness. So if there is an ounce of optimism, by definition, you are no longer black pilled. If someone is very sick, God forbid, they have serious cancer, and you know it's a 95% chance you're not going to make it, you still want that 5%. You have to fight for it. You're like, I could be that 1 in 20. So if you need to believe that it's 100% no, you have to fight that 5% to maintain your psychology. Are you black pilled or white pilled about the future of this country?
I'm gray pilled on it, because there's glimmers of hope every once in a while, but like, okay. I mean, but it's all, I would say I'm more towards the black than the white pill on it, just because like it's taken us 200 years to get to where we are. Like, how do you undo 200 years of just crap?
Right.
And how do you undo it in 8 years? Because that's basically what you got. You've got 8 years to do it, and we've already used 4. So the establishment and the powers that be that move the government are so strong that it's hard to even fathom how strong it is.
Yeah.
That like we have half the country, or two, or maybe a third of the country, because a third doesn't vote, but we've got a large percentage of this country wanting to move in the right direction, and we still can't move there.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm hopeful. I'm not completely black-pilled, but I really don't know. I sort of see this as just the best we can do is slow it down.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the chaos and the entropy is going to get us at some point, and the best we can do is delay it for long enough for my kids to grow up.
Okay. It's parlay. It means to speak or the speech of someone. No, this is America. We don't speak.
It's called parlor.
It's called parlor. This is America. Thank you.
Even Parler has given in and calls it parlor now.
Yeah. What primed university professors to adopt Zen? Peer pressure. It was also a book that was very popular with the masses, with Gen Pop. And if you have a history book that's read by Gen Pop, it's going to encourage professors to teach it. This is how Ayn Rand got into schools, because then it's like, okay, I know I have proof that my my students are going to actually be more likely to be excited about the ideas.
Do you like Ayn Rand?
Oh, I own her copy of The Fountainhead.
So do I.
Of the first printing.
Oh, well, no, I don't have that.
I have.
It is my favorite book, though. The Fountainhead is my favorite book.
I love that book. I love it so much. I
can't even explain why. I can't even explain why I love that book. I just do.
Because it speaks to you. That's why.
I read it when I was like 14.
Yeah, and that's the age.
It's been my favorite book since I was 14.
It encourages you to be the best version of yourself.
Right. I always admired Rourke, and
yeah,
he's talking to Peter, and I'm just like, man, that guy's a badass.
Yes. Hi, Carpe and Michael, 2 of my favorites from Mod Ricky.
Oh hey, Mod.
Do you know him?
Yeah, Mod Ricky is he is everyone's favorite Periscope moderator.
Oh.
He moderates for me. He moderates for Jack Posobiec. He moderates for a bunch of people.
Do you think the anonymity, pseudonymity for the general user base of Twitter is a net benefit or detriment? I think it is an enormous net benefit, in my opinion, because then it's going to allow people to speak truth to power without having to have repercussions. What do you think?
I think it depends on what what you think the goal of Twitter should be. If you think it's to have good conversations, then anonymity is really bad. But if you want to have important conversations, then anonymity is good. So, like when they talk about the health of the conversation, that 1984-ish terminology that they use, being anonymous on Twitter means that you can't have good conversations because there's trolls coming in and they can say whatever they want. It doesn't matter if they get banned today because they'll just make an account an hour from now. Nobody's going to come and find them. But if you want to be able to say things like you said, truth to power, then you sort of have to, especially in cancel culture. I mean, cancel culture has made it impossible.
Yeah, by design.
Yeah.
Zinn is important that the left represent because he presents an argument against America's free and affluent and communist countries all suck. Zinn says basically we didn't make America great, we just stole it. Yeah, there's a book I just recently read, if you go to my Goodreads, about taking down Zinn, and it's very interesting and informative. And it's from a BoomerCon perspective, but the author does a super job with it.
So I'm gonna show you just how ignorant I am. I don't even know who Zinn is. Who's Zinn?
Howard Zinn wrote this book called A People's History of the United States. Okay. This is one of the books that makes up the contemporary Blue Testament, like White Fragility, Silent Spring, and a few others. These are the books that everyone in a certain culture has read and is familiar with.
So is it like college stuff then?
Yes, and he's a literal communist, literal Marxist, and it presents the New York Times 1619 Project is textbook Howard Zinn. Instead of, if you ask people when would you say America became America, some would say 1776, some would say 1789, the Constitution. They would say 1619 because the definition of America is a country based and defined by slavery and oppression. It is an entirely different worldview and analysis for which there is little conversation, discussion possible, partly by design, because from their perspective, kind of any conversation is just rationalizing, justifying genocide.
I got you. Okay, so I didn't go to college, so I didn't have to read that.
Well, Matt Damon's a big advocate of the book. It's one of those, when you're like marginally intelligent and want to seem hip and well-read, that's the one you go to. It's so like Handmaid's Tale and Harry Potter.
Says like that.
Yeah.
You just
well, no, they don't really quote him, but they get his ideas secondhand because it's a long book.
Okay.
So it's like the things that seep in through the culture, it all traces back to him. He's like the original poisoned well. Oh, that's a great question. Why can't the left meme?
My answer for this is always that they can't meme because they're angry all the time.
Yeah.
Like they can't be funny because they're so angry. And I mean I really think that's like the best way to talk about it is just like funny things come from it can come from a dark place. I mean dark humor is funny. But you have to be able to laugh at something. And these people can't laugh at anything. They can't laugh at themselves. They can't laugh at Trump. They can't laugh at anything. The only thing they can do is just, spew this venom. And so it comes out it poisons their memes, basically.
And this is a choice. When I was in North Korea, my guide had plenty of jokes and had a great sense of humor. So don't tell me that if Trump is president, well, there's no time for laugh when there's assholes in the White House.
Right.
No. That is on you. If they can laugh in North Korea, you can laugh here regardless of who the president is, even if I'm going to take your presentation of Trump at face value.
Right.
What do you think of all these Daddy Trump cheerleader accounts on Twitter? A lot of big conservatives there just for money. I don't know what you're referring to. I think any president or any powerful figure is going to have a lot of cheerleaders.
Well, I think that so I think I know what they're sort of talking about is there are a lot of accounts that that no matter what he does, it's always a brilliant move. He's 8 steps ahead, and I just think some people have built their following based on that, and so now they're locked in. It's the same situation with CNN or one of the mainstream media outlets. CNN couldn't start doing real straight news now if they wanted to because they get canceled by their own viewership. If they came out and they're like, Trump actually didn't do that bad of a job on coronavirus, the people would be like, what are you talking about?
That happened. Chris Hayes said we should hear out Tara Reid. It's important to hear her side of the story, and fire Chris Hayes was trending on Twitter.
Right, exactly. So CNN is now locked into whatever they're doing, whatever they've been doing for the last 2 years. They can't, even if they wanted to change, they couldn't. Jake Tapper couldn't go out and say that, Trump's really not that bad. Like, you guys are a little crazy. Like, they tried to do that with they tried to walk back the defund the police. How did that work out for them?
Oh yeah, right.
Like, they were unable to walk it back. Like, and then AOC even came out and doubled down on it. It was like, no, we actually mean get rid of the police. Yeah. So like, they don't. I've said this before too. Like, if you summon a mob, that doesn't mean you're in control. Right. And that's what they did. They summoned a mob, and now they're like, oh my God, Frankenstein's monster is coming after me, and he doesn't care. So, yeah.
I want to hear your answer to this. I argue with someone who said the right can do everything better than the whole left. How do you disprove such a binary argument? Well, I would say possibly. In practice, I would say no. But Donk, I want to hear your idea.
So the right can do everything better than the whole left. I don't know. I think there's a lot of smart people on the left.
Yeah.
And they're just really, really blinded by like this thing that's still happening from 2016. Like, I've talked to lots of people that in every imaginable way they are smart, except for when you're like, when you bring up the word, or when you say the word Trump, then like it just all, their brain turns to mush.
Yeah, it's very disturbing to see.
I don't know. I think there's plenty of smart people. I think how to disprove that binary argument is a politically leaning doesn't necessarily mean some sort of intelligence difference or anything like that.
Imagine if Kanye 2020 gets enough attention that Biden has to acknowledge him. Would be insane if they had to get Harris, Abrams, or even Obama to campaign against Kanye West. I don't think it would be as insane as campaigning against Donald Trump. Like, no. To be honest, you know what I mean? In 2016.
Yeah. So the Kanye thing is sort of fun. I don't
think he's going to run.
I don't see it happening so much.
How did it feel when God touched your carpe?
A reference to the background was
behind you.
Oh. Did he touch me?
Touched by an angel. It was always parlor. An original tweet was called a parlay. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Favorite books other than The Fountainhead? That's a great question for you.
How about that? Is that better?
Look at all these hunks.
How about that?
Oh, I love that picture. Your kid looks so cute. Oh.
We go to the beach, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
All right. What was the question?
Favorite books other than The Fountainhead?
Let's see. It's a tough one. I really like Scott Adams' books. I liked your book that you sent to me. That was nice. I actually liked a lot of sort of classics. When I was growing up, I read a lot. So there was things like just random books like Tuck Everlasting. Do you remember Tuck Everlasting?
No.
That was a book about like people who drank from this well and they lived forever. And it was like it was all of these. It was like a whole family, and they had to travel all over the country because people would figure out that they weren't aging. And it was just a weird, cool book. But I love The Giver as well. Lois Lowry. I liked a lot of dystopian kind of stuff. I still like dystopian, either literature or video or movies.
Or presidents.
Or presidents. But I don't know. I think I've always been sort of drawn to the dystopian thing because I think it's a lot more interesting than a lot of other things. I think it's sort of where we're headed, and I think it's the eventuality of society. And as you strive to become more perfect, you end up having to give up something. And so I don't know. It's just an interesting idea.
Rand was required reading for us in high school and was one of the only good things to come from my public education. Really influenced my thinking. Good. That's absolutely wonderful to hear.
She wasn't required reading at my school. I had to read it on my own. But
I've never read any Rand. Which book should one start with? That's easy. The only answer to this question is Anthem. Anything else is not acceptable as an answer. I'm sure you agree.
Anthem would give you a really good basis of how to understand the rest of it.
Yeah.
I actually started with We the Living, was the first Ayn Rand book I read, which was good too. But
it's very dissimilar to the others.
It is. It's very much in its own right.
Yeah. What is your thought on the prediction that Trump has a 91% winning re-election? I think it's very high.
Yeah, I would put it a lot lower than that. Not like 5% low, but like I think literally anything can happen between now and election day. We don't know how much cheating there will be. We don't know how much
with the VP
or the VP. Like we don't know any of those things, and we don't know. I think Trump will secure a very strong chance if he just absolutely wrecks Biden in debates.
Which is why they're going to try to make sure he doesn't have them.
Exactly. So if the debates don't happen, I think that the likelihood of Trump being defeated goes up, because there won't be that stark contrast, because that's what anybody that's it's sort of a weird thing, because it's hard to imagine that at this point in time anyone would still be on the fence about who they're going to vote for. Like that's sort of a weird thing just even to think about, but there are those people. And what they will need just before the election is that stark relief of this is what crazy, demented Biden looks like. This is what Trump looks like.
But crazy. Demented Trump.
Yeah, like cogent but crazy Trump, right? So you have to have that, and then you have to look. They have to see them on the stage together, and Biden, plods over to the thing, and Trump walks over like, swishing his legs as he walks.
He gives him that Trump handshake, that he's famous for. That could be something.
Yeah, when Biden has to be taken to the emergency room because his hand has been crushed by Trump's handshake, that will be a defining moment for some of those people. But
did he give you the Trump handshake?
I got a Trump handshake. Yeah.
Oh,
he didn't break my hand, but
okay. Thoughts on the woke attack on meritocracy seems to be dividing the left hard. This is also straight out of Zen, this claim that what they say is when you say it's a meritocracy, and they're not wrong broadly, what they're saying is meritocracy is often used by the people who are in power to convince everyone else that they got there by their own merits. It's in many ways, it's an aristocratic concept that like, oh, I'm the prince, I'm the king, I earned it, you guys are just jealous. That said, America, I think, or any free market is going to heavily skew toward meritocracy. And so this is a big part of leftism, rightly or wrongly, is the idea that you don't have it as good as somebody else because that somebody else got there at your expense, or things that are due to you. So it's not that taxes are justice. Like that money was yours to begin with, that person expropriated, and now we're just settling the score. So it's a very different worldview.
Well, I can imagine that post. I don't think this would have been true a year ago, but post Corona and post riots and everything, I think there is a lot of people on the left that are starting to rethink some of these things. I've had discussions with people where I say things like, so now that coronavirus has like decimated all these jobs and stuff like that, how do you feel about immigration? And they've changed their tune a little bit. When you say, so should we just let everybody come in? They're like, well, I mean, somebody needs to pick the fruit. And I'm like, well, no, but we have people that can pick fruit, and they really need jobs right now. Like they really need jobs. And so I think you have some changes going on there. And I think that this the meritocracy thing, like he signed or he is going to sign an executive order, or he signed one. I think he is, right?
Yeah,
it's a future thing.
Yes.
Okay, so the argument against meritocracy is sort of you have to do the mental gymnastics of like it's the same systemic racism thing where you like everybody, all the white people have, there's systemic racism because white people would get better educations and all of these things, and you can sort of say that some of that's some of that's true, that if you live in a poor neighborhood or in a poor area, then you're going to get a lesser education, and maybe there's more of this type of person in this area or whatever. But to say that it's completely defines your life, which is what systemic racism tries to say. Right. Is that your entire life is defined by how you were born, and it's serfs and all that kind of stuff. That's not something you can actually make an argument for, and that's why people can't even define. When you ask them to define what is systemic racism, it's some sort of ethereal thing that they can't even describe.
I'm just saying one thing. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm short by every metric, all the studies. This is disadvantageous for me. This is something I'll never be able to get around. The fact that because I have this one issue, I can't have a happy, fulfilling life is a lie.
Right. Yeah, I'm short, but not quite as short as you.
Well, few are. That's because dynamite comes in small packages.
It's all right. I like you just the same. It's fine.
I was talking when I was working with Matt Hughes on his UFC book, and he taught me how to work out. And he says, if any dude comes up to you in the gym and makes fun of you, you tell him dynamite comes in small packages. And I'm like, I think to myself, if someone got in my face and started making fun of me, I think that's my wheelhouse. Like, that's not going to, I don't need the help there. Like, show me how to do a proper bench. But when it comes to the back and forth, I'm all set.
I think maybe that's not the one you want to lead with either.
I know. Dynamite goes to small packages.
And then they're like, squash.
Whoa, shit. I got that. What? Oh,
that's cool. God. That's cool that you know Matt Hughes. He was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I co-authored his book.
Awesome.
If the Cathedral is jihadis, why do you think we should ideologically self-segregate? We could have rich, cultural, powerful jihadi nations both coasts. I don't think jihadism leads to wealth, and I don't think it leads to peace.
No.
That's the problem with jihad. The jihadis have to spread their jihad as much as possible.
Again, you'll have to excuse me, but what is the Cathedral? I'm not.
It's in my book. So the Cathedral is the idea of the universities, the press, and politics all working together to give you a unified, coherent worldview. It's a thinly veiled religion, right?
Okay, gotcha.
And in this, I've recently been referring to corporate journalists as jihadis without testosterone. I think ideological self-segregation is a necessary medium-term step, but I do not think it will be rich, powerful jihadi nations. I think it would be they want you dead and they'll settle for your submission. In my opinion,
you sort of have to separate ideologically just as a country. Otherwise, I mean, what we're experiencing right now is too many ideologies and not enough cohesion of like one idea. So I don't think that the US needs to adopt a, everybody's now going to be a Protestant or something like that. Sure. But when we have July 4th and not even everyone can agree on that we should celebrate the Independence Day. Like that's a major problem. So you do have to consolidate ideologies at least to a point where everyone can be on the same page on should we exist or not? Because that's basically what we're fighting for is should people exist and should America exist? And there's a bunch of people in America that say no, we shouldn't exist.
Yeah. Here's a good one. Do you think a lot of people stuck in 16 are incapable of forgiveness / non-religion? I think that's a no-brainer. I think they resent enormously that they've been marginalized and told they don't matter and that they're stupid.
Which side are we talking about on this?
I think the people stuck in 16, I would assume the losers.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming too. Yeah. And I think they're stuck because they literally can't leave. They're in a prison. They're in a mind prison that 2016, I hate to steal from Scott Adams because he's let everybody know about all this stuff, but the cognitive dissonance and all of that stuff that your brain literally won't let you get out of it. Yeah. Every time that you see something that reminds you of 2016, you have to go back to, a Nazi got elected. America elected a Nazi. and
you were told it's impossible.
Right. And you were told it was impossible. And so your entire worldview was built around that America is this great place that could never elect a Nazi. And then we elected a Nazi. And, that just completely broke people's brains.
Feel free to take that clip, everyone, and put it on Twitter. He won't be able to reply.
Yep, do that. Make sure you take that one and pull that one out of context.
Yeah. Is meme magic real? That's an obvious yes.
Yes.
Mike, I wonder who that is. Do you think people like Jake Tapper are fully committed to the ideology or just want to be on the winning team and think they can survive what's coming on the sidelines? I think there's both. I can't speak personally towards Jake Tapper. There is a quote. Well, we'll get to that in a second. There's a quote that's ascribed to Upton Sinclair, which he did not in fact say, that something to the effect of, it's very hard to convince someone of something whose livelihood is contingent on him believing that it's the case. So our minds have a great way of believing things that maybe not true, if only it'll further our lives and careers. I want to hear your opinion on Jake Tapper, though.
So I've talked to Jake Tapper at length, and what I have discovered about him is that I think he used to be a rational person.
Okay.
And he used to be somebody who wanted to do the news straight, and he wanted to do all the things that he professes to still do. And he is in the camp of completely broken now. Oh, okay. And I think I don't think it was actually 2016 that completely broke him. I think it's after that, because
the Russia stuff.
Even a year and a half ago, I could have a conversation with him, and he would be sort of lucid. But he started seeing Nazis everywhere and seeing white supremacists everywhere, and he was accusing me of being friends with them, and it sort of went downhill like really, really fast. And I think the Russia stuff helped, because just buying into that whole conspiracy theory and then watching it fall apart has got to do numbers on people. But again, I think he is also, there's a very strong incentive for him to continue to believe the crazy stuff. The incentive is that he continues to have a job. But I don't think a lot of them are actually faking. I think that they are literally just broken. I think Jim Acosta is just broken. Like, I don't think that he sits in front of a mirror and practices being outraged. I think he's literally outraged by everything.
They've kind of vanished him. He was everywhere for a minute, and now you don't see him that much anymore.
Well, he was really big at rallies and stuff. He would go to rallies, but there haven't been that many rallies, and they oftentimes have him stationed outside of the White House, and I don't know exactly what the deal is there, but he's still around. I'm wearing him as a mask, so.
Yeah. Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
Fair answer. Favorite dystopian film? That's a great question.
Mine is what is it called now? Equilibrium.
I'm gonna be a little smartass, but it's not really that far from the truth, and I'm going to say American Beauty.
Okay.
Because they do portray suburbia as a dystopia. There is this undercurrent of complete despair.
I would not have described American Beauty as a dystopia, but I can see what you mean. And now that you say that, but I
love that movie a lot.
Yeah,
that's why it's hard to have a quality dystopian movie. A lot of them are I feel are not good.
Would you say that Fight Club is also a dystopian movie?
No, because it ends in positively. It's. I think it's very. I don't think it is.
No,
not like American Beauty.
Yeah, the ending of American Beauty was surprising.
That wasn't the original ending,
What was the original one?
It starts with her looking at the camera and says, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you blank my blank?" So they were going to find that tape, and the girl was going to go to jail.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Huh. If we ideologically self-segregate and secede, won't the world dump the dollar and back China? This could cause massive economic problems. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think you don't have to have one world currency necessarily. I think absolutely any transition is going to have transition cost. That there's no way around that. I think one of the two currencies would win out. What do you think, Don?
Wouldn't it be a sort of suicide for China to dump the dollar? I mean, so all of the world currencies and all of the world markets are all connected. And for the last 5-6 years, or maybe even longer than that, a decade, China could have just made the dollar plummet because they own most of our debt, right?
Yeah.
But they haven't done it, so if there was actually a strategic advantage to it, they would have already done it. I mean, there's a reason that they're holding on to that stuff and they're not just tanking our markets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're tied to the dollar because all of their money comes from exports. So if they tank America's economy too bad, then nobody buys their iPhones anymore, and so then they're just throwing iPhones out the window and all of the other stuff. So I don't see that as being. If that were to happen, it would be really bad, but I don't ever see that happening.
This is a good one. Can you redo the toddler meme just with the footage of the Covington kids and the media attacks on them versus the truth them being attacked in real time in the media?
I could. That wouldn't be too hard. In fact, I did at the time. I did a video where it was sort of similar to that, showing what the. I'll have to find that video. Where it was showing how the media portrayed the Covington kids, and then actually showing the elder walking up to them, because that was the part that they cut out, was the part where he actually walked up into their face.
Can you do another half hour? Is that cool?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Eric Weinstein said most New York City public schools have contributed above private ones to human advancement, highlighting Stuyvesant. Okay. I am a Stuyvesant graduate. To get into Stuyvesant, you have to take a test. That's the only thing that matters. It is a very highly correlated to IQ test, and your wealth doesn't matter, your background doesn't matter. Anyone can get in, and Stuyvesant has done that. But Stuyvesant is one data point, and Stuyvesant is a magnet school. The reason it's called a magnet, it's just drawing kids from all over the city. New York City is going to have a lot of very, very smart kids, and they're going to. I would bet you in New York is an outlier. Intelligence doesn't correlate with wealth because you're going to have a lot of very, very smart immigrant families who are poor, and this is where they're making it.
There's also more people.
Yes.
I mean, statistically, you're going to have more smart people in New York than you're going to have in all of Alabama.
Of course, yeah.
So, and then travel also. Not everybody is going to want to send their kid all the way to New York or whatever. But
yeah,
I know nothing about schools.
I think good memes trust the audience with ambiguity. Yes, that is irony. Irony assumes the listener is smart. Sarcasm makes the listener out to be dumb.
Yes. And I do a lot of stuff where some of the stuff is just slapstick and stuff like that. But I think my favorite ones are ones where people have to think and they're like, I don't even get it. And I'm like, oh, well.
My favorite one of yours, my favorite one, although I'm sure there's more than one, but this one that comes to mind if you have to ask me, was Everybody Hurts.
Yeah, the State of the Union.
I was dying.
Yeah, and I've watched it since, and I still think it's funny.
Oh, it's so good. And just there's this one moment, I don't know why this is my favorite part, where Kristen Gillibrand just goes, makes this weird face, and it's just so weird.
I like the part where Bernie is chewing on his pencil, and they're talking about communism. And he's just like, and then obviously like the Mitt Romney slow zoom in. That was the best. That was my actually. So that clip of the slow zoom in on Mitt Romney was the inspiration for the whole video.
Oh,
that's actually where the video started. Was I saw that Mitt Romney thing, and I was like, oh my god, that Everybody Hurts, and then I was just like, oh, I could do everybody else too.
Yeah. And there was no shortage of sourpusses.
No.
Roger Stone has just commuted 30 minutes ago. What do you think of Roger? And if either you met him, I met him once in the Fox elevator. I think he is probably exactly what you think of him. What do you think?
I've met him once, and I've talked to him multiple. Well, I've communicated with him, either through social media or like email and stuff like that. But everyone that I know seems to like him, so I can't imagine that I would dislike him. But I'm glad he got pardoned. I did that video for him a week or so ago, and I made a video for him, a year ago. So whenever he wants something done, I hop to it.
Well, now he's a free man, so that's great to hear, I guess. I live you guys, but not physically. Okay, that work on your openers. If Trump can keep Maxwell alive, Ghislaine Maxwell, and expose the pedophile network, how much would that increase his percentage of chance if fair media, how popular Trump be? My guess is that it would not necessarily increase his chance. I'm going to get Scott Adams here, because when you start talking about very, very dark, disturbing things, it makes people averse to you. It doesn't necessarily make people drawn to you. It makes people be like, shut up and go away. I don't want to think about this. That's my 2 cents. What do you think?
So most of the normies don't want to know about it. They didn't want it. There's a reason that Epstein got away with it for so long, because most of the normies didn't want to hear about it. They wanted to be like, nah, no, I don't hear it. And as far as keeping her alive, somebody asked me last night, will she die or whatever? I don't think that that anybody could get her, because like it would be too obvious. Like if she dies in prison or whatever. But I also don't think she's going to give away the keys to the kingdom or give away all of these things. I think she's going to say all of the things that are already publicly known.
Okay.
And then, then they'll put her in prison for a while, and the court date will be pushed out for 2 years, and then maybe a year from now she dies in prison, and then it's not weird. But she also doesn't give any of these bombshells, and I think she probably has lots to give. I don't think she's going to give it. I don't think she will be allowed to give it.
Right.
But I also don't think they can kill her either. So I don't know. Conspiracy land is a weird place to be. And talking about Epstein and talking about her make me feel like I'm in conspiracy land.
Will the right give in to the left again in BLM? It's already started happening. To a point.
Given how?
I mean, I think just basically validate their premises and not push back.
Oh, people are weak.
Yeah.
Basically, all of the problems in the world stem from people being weak.
Well, it's also, they're not just against the Democrats, they're against corporate America now. And now corporate America has told the masses that this is basically just like the Jeffersons.
Yeah.
I give much money, be well. Well, thank you, Chris. That is much money. And I will be well. And thank you to Lonnie. We have a question here. Once again, Jill Whitehead praises your existence, but hates your yellow shirt. Okay, so this shirt, I don't know who Jill is.
Yeah, I don't know
is
who Jill
from
is.
Marino's Italian Ice, which is an old school Brooklyn company.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah. I had to send away for this.
Pumpkins.
Oh, Billy Corgan is red-pilled beyond belief.
Oh, I know. I've talked to him.
He's very cool dude.
He's cool. We won't talk about that too much because I don't want to get him in trouble.
Okay, yes, fair enough. When you go on one of your deep dives into a topic, are there any methods you use to find quality books on the topics? You seem to find a lot of obscure gems. He's asking me. Yes. So if I'm reading a book and there is a mention of a topic or a person I haven't heard of, I'll make a note on that and look up them. And also, if you go to the footnote, you'll be like, oh, this is interesting. That's a very easy way to do it. So it's very organic, my method of how to go down a rabbit hole literarily. Is J. Reg the best political satirist, and why is the answer yes?
Who's J. Reg?
I don't know who that is.
I
thought you'd know. You're the meme maker.
I don't know J. Reg. So they couldn't be that good, right?
Yeah. I'm worried if we ideologically self-segregate, there will be no one on the inside holding back the rich cathedral states from a civil war rerun. Okay, that is a fair worry. I don't think the army would be divided. I don't think we would have a civil war. I think it would be the army would stick as a whole, and it'd be one side or the other. I think it'd be very hard to have another civil war.
How do you feel about the army as far as like do you think they're a cohesive unit? Do you think
I think
that will
largely.
always? Yeah. Well, I would say largely too, but like I have some concerns about basically every aspect of the organized government, as
I'm
far
an
as
anarchist. Yes, of course. Yeah.
like I mean the amount of people that are willing to just completely not stand by their oath of of office or of wherever they are. Like I mean, I would say most of the army is probably willing to die for the country, not for a specific leader, and it doesn't matter who the leader is. But
Correct,
I mean, there's all of the people like the reality winners and things like that have now the Colonel Vindmans of all of these things that have let all of their personal politics. And it's sort of worrying that that the generals, a lot of generals have also done that. I don't know. It's kind of concerning to me because it sort of feels like that's a big piece of the fabric that's ripping in this country is people being willing to do their jobs without thinking about the political stuff. And all of those videos of soldiers and police kneeling was pretty unnerving.
I had this tweet where for my conservative friends, that without the cops, every gun control law is just a letter to Santa.
Yeah.
You laugh, but I mean, it's true. So you have to think things through. Like this claim that no, they're not going to go door to door. Some places they will. Yeah, and they'll do it gladly, and then they'll be valorized for it. Just an observation, a couple of Rogan's recent guests, Lindsay and Levinowitz, have spoken about wokeism as being a religion. I find myself yelling in my truck about how you nailed this point. Someone should write a book about that. Sorry, this question for Don. Sorry if the question seems silly. Has being banned from Facebook hurt you financially?
Not really. I mean, this is something that I think not everybody understands is that like I literally don't care about the money. Like the money is nice when people give me money. But it has never been a driving force. Like we talked about the merchandising thing. I don't merchandise. I could make lots of money off of selling t-shirts and stuff like that. And it's just not something I'm really interested in. And, I'm not somebody who would, I want to live in squalor or something like that, but I live a nice life. I have a nice life. Everything else on top of what I've got is added bonus, but, being banned from Twitter is not affecting me. I'm not, I'm not eating ramen noodles every night because I don't have any money.
Who's that? Caitlin Maddox?
What?
She had ramen noodle hair. Mm-hmm. Matt Taibbi destroying D'Angelo. Thoughts? I don't know who D'Angelo is. Do you know who that is?
I don't know who. No.
Matt Taibbi is he's a red-pilled leftist.
Okay. I recognize the name.
I think he's a red-pilled leftist. Have you ever read The Camera Age by Michael J. Arlen? I have not. Have you, Count?
I have not. I've read very few books in the last 6 years.
No shame in that. You keeping it busy. Different people consume. Okay, we got one more. How to confront friends who read White Fragility. Ooh, that's a good. Carefully and
don't confront them if you are unwilling to not be friends with them anymore.
The book is a handbook to radicalize people and to give them techniques to teach them so they never have to defend themselves, are justified in having to defend themselves. So I would just ask them this. Do you think it's possible for someone to disagree with this book and not be a racist and or bad person? And that answer will tell you a lot. Because they will want to say one, but they'll think the other possibly.
Yeah, I've found that it's and I think we've all sort of found this, that there are very few people you can still have conversations with. So if you've got somebody that is getting really, really woke, I just don't know if there's any coming back from that. At least not now.
Yeah. The fever has to break.
Yeah, I mean they have, and this is something that people have to understand also, that they have to come to it on their own. Like you can't break somebody out of it. Like you can set them on the path to breaking out of it, and you can give them some good pointers, but you can't just you can't grab somebody and just shake them hard enough to wake them up. Like it's just not possible. It's a process.
It's like a baby. If you shake them really hard, they're not going to wake up ever.
Well, that's true. And that's awful. And that's really awful.
Can confirm the military has been creating and promoting university-educated technocrats to high ranks for decades. These are rarely soldiers. I would assume that that's not impossible. Military staff is highly cathedral, rank and file of blue collar, much less so. My experience is there would be a split. Okay, I can't speak on that. That sounds plausible to me, certainly. Did you serve?
I did not. I thought about it. I thought about it, but I didn't.
Oh, so I guess D'Angelo is the guy who wrote White Fragility. Oh, so Matt Taibbi's taking him on. Okay, good to know. He's having his moment. Robert D'Angelo wrote White Fragility. It's a girl. Taibbi destroyed her this week. My previous post. Got it. Can we? I'm sorry I said got it. I mean that sarcastically. You know, on Twitter he's saying, got it. Can we revalue a man of his word? I'm old enough that I've lost money and done stuff I didn't want to rather than break my word. Is that lost to us? It's not lost to us. Let me quote the Fountainhead. A building can have integrity just as a man and just as seldom. What you are perceiving to have been the norm was never the norm. It was what you were told was the norm.
That was Rourke Keating?
Or maybe it was in his trial. I don't remember, but I know that's a quote from the movie. But the guy's saying that like this was the thing, it's not. This was you. You are a good person. You are not the norm. You were told that it was, but that was a lie, in my opinion. What do you think, Donk?
So can we revalue a man of his word? So what is the question exactly? It's
I think he means the fact that people are so willing to have lack of integrity. Is that gone forever?
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm saying it was never here.
Well, I don't know. I think that there are men of integrity. Now, flawless men of integrity don't exist, but I mean, I think my dad is a man of integrity. I think that I was raised to value personal integrity more than anything else. You know, in my family, I was raised to, you know, it's not enough not to be evil, but to also not ever put yourself in a position where someone might think you're evil, the appearance of evil. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, but like I think that it has everything to do with how people are raised and the morals and ethics that are instilled in people, and I think it's really hard to go back to that once more and more people. So I don't know if you can get back to that without something major, you know, like a major cultural shift back to either back to religion or which I think that's a big thing now that has led to a lot of this is the dumbing down of religion and the and just the lack of religious well, I mean, the schools have taken over. I mean, the pastors are now being taught basically the same thing that are being taught in colleges.
Yeah.
And so you've got woke pastors. And I think I've talked to several people about this, but like woke pastors is like the death of the church. And I don't know about your religious stances on that stuff, but like when you have woke pastors that are parroting the same things that you're seeing from CNN or from woke activists, like your church is just going to die. It's going to die eventually.
Because it's superfluous. Why am I going to church when I could watch Don Lemon?
Right.
From my house. Like, it's the same message.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, who didn't kill Jeff Epstein? I can answer that. It's the Mossad. They had nothing to do with it. I promise.
Kim Jong-un.
Yes,
he did not kill.
Will you ever have Ali Alexander on? Sure, in a second. I mean, Ali and I are Twitter pals. Cathedral wants to spread its influence everywhere. It wouldn't allow peaceful secession. Right needs to stay inside blue states to undermine them. It depends. At a certain point, you're going to have the numbers, and it's going to be like, we're gonna go our own way or else. So it's not gonna be. It would be peaceful but forceful. It wouldn't be peaceful and like
I don't think there's. I don't think there's any way that you could have peaceful secession.
What about Brexit? What about Czechoslovakia?
I think in America, I think it's a different animal.
I think they want you to think that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I think they're counting on you to say, well, if you leave, it's going to get violence. So you better sit.
I think California could secede very easily without any problem because we would be like,
bye, bitch.
Yeah.
Bye, bitch.
Yeah.
Go back to Mexico.
I hope you figure out how to get water.
Yeah, good luck with next to the ocean.
I hope that desalinization works out for you.
Yeah, or not. Not my problem. Not my problem, foreigners. Thank you for all you do, Michael. Buy something frivolous and unnecessary. My birthday's coming up, and I have commissioned my favorite artist to make a diorama based on the cover of my graphic novel Ego and Hubris. So I cannot wait to have that.
You know what's really sad is
my life.
Well, besides that, I went into Best Buy the other day,
More like
and I couldn't find anything I wanted to buy.
Oh, wow.
That's sort of sad. Like I could usually find something, and it's not because I have so much stuff. It's just like apparently I'm in a phase of my life where I just don't care about that much stuff anymore. And there's no new movies out. This is the most depressing thing to me about the last year is that like there's no new movies.
I'll give you advice. I'll solve that problem for you. Unless you physically, do you mean just things that are long, or just in terms of leaving the house?
What do you mean?
Like I have been watching playthroughs of video games, and they're often like 20 hours long, no talking.
Right.
And it's better than watching many TV shows. I'm watching Ocarina of Time. Now. I never played it, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is so fun.
Yeah. So that's cool, but like one of my favorite things is to watch a new movie that I've never seen before.
At the theater?
No, like in my house.
Okay.
Like go Redbox or go whatever. So that's been my favorite thing to do for like 20 years. Oh. And there are no new movies coming out. And you know, it doesn't even matter if it's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's the experience.
It's the I don't know what's going to happen in this, and then, like as I'm watching, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I know what's going to happen, or this is a cool new idea. You know, the movies are always something where it's something I haven't thought of before. And, you know, I would say over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been harder and harder to find movies where I haven't thought of that before. But it's still an experience of like something new and exciting and getting outside of yourself. And so that's just been super depressing. Like nothing. I can't find anything. Like, and I've watched so many movies that it's not like I can go find very many movies from like even 5 years ago that I haven't seen. Like I've seen everything. So I don't know. Hopefully they come back eventually, but
I don't think you could count Hollywood out yet. I think this is like the airlines after 9/11. It's going to take time, but they're not going anywhere, in my opinion. How do you convince a group of people to seek out a dissenting opinion? It would seem the gatherings around my area only seem to wholeheartedly agree. How would one channel John Stuart Mill? John Stuart Mill should be channeled into the toilet. I'm not a fan of his. I'm going to quote H.L. Mencken, and he said, "The average man does not want to be free. He simply wants to be safe." Mm-hmm. You will never, by definition, convince a group to seek out dissenting opinions. They will always try to seek out conciliatory, safe, tame opinions so that they can be comfortable in their herd. On the plus side, they are of no relevance. They are the cultural ballast, and they will be Nazis in Germany in the 40s, and they'll be boomer cons in Illinois, downstate Illinois today, and they'd be jihadis in Afghanistan. They do not bring anything psychologically to the table, in my view. What do you think, Doc?
So what is the purpose of seeking dissenting opinions? It's to convert them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The only reason, like, you don't seek out dissenting opinions to get new things. Very rarely. I think that I do, but I'm probably just, you know, it's in my head that I'm actually doing that. I'd actually much rather convert them to my way of thinking. So laziness would be part of it, I think. People not see. I mean, it's hard work. it's hard work to do that. And there's a whole nother class of people who just don't want to they don't want to rock a boat either, so they don't even look for the dissenting opinions, because that would be dangerous to not them physically, but mentally dangerous if they got into water where they couldn't tread anymore.
Yeah,
I mean that's the scariest thing. So I did. Well, you did you moderated the debate with Scaramucci.
Yeah.
And so the scariest thing about that was not sitting and having a bunch of people listening. The scariest thing was not knowing how smart he would be or the points that he would make, and that I would look like a fool because I wasn't prepared for it. And so that was the scariest thing. It wasn't that I was afraid of what he might say or afraid of his ideas or anything like that. It was completely on me about, am I prepared enough to do this? So I think that's where a lot of people are. If they talk to somebody who doesn't agree with them, they're afraid of being caught not knowing.
I think many NPCs have agency because my dad takes political opinions from CNN, but he started a business. They aren't entirely without critical thinking. Oh, I agree. I think I'm not using this as an insulting comparison. Dogs are capable of critical thought. Dogs have object permanence, for example. It's a very primitive version of critical thought. Here's another one. I'm going to try to, we got 10 more minutes. Let's get these taken care of. Could students learning their professors work for China or Nixium or such be enough to red pill them? It's hard to red pill young people, I think. And a lot of young people actually naturally red pilled because they just want to be antagonistic and skeptical.
Well, they want to go against the norms.
They want to go against the norms. The China thing, I don't know if that would be enough. They would just say, oh, it's just this one professor. Like everyone hates the politician from the other district, but they love their own.
Right. I hate the politicians from every district.
Yeah, you're speaking to the choir, sir. Love you, Malice. Speakers like you that are intellectually honest have been a boon to me because I read at a 5th grade level. Oh, that's 2 grades above what I write for. Just finished 1984 an audiobook. Lots of double think today. Orwell knew what the Redenbacher knew how to make himself some popcorn, and that's why they killed him. Orwell Redenbacher didn't kill himself.
Too much butter. The theater butter was the last straw.
Michael, do you stream yourself watching Zelda games? No, I don't. You don't want to see.
No, that would be super meta. Is you streaming? You watch? Yeah.
It's like this.
You should go pick up a Nintendo 64 and the Ocarina of Time and just play it. You can do it for like less than $50. You could get the game.
Do you know why I'm watching it? Do you know why I'm watching it?
Because you're bored?
Because
I ran out of candles?
But I got 97 left. And a problem ain't one. And a bitch ain't one. I was obsessed with Zelda as a kid. Adored it. When Ocarina of Time came out, my boomer brain couldn't process the 3D, so I couldn't handle how to play it, and it stressed me out too much.
All right, well.
So
it's still one of my favorite games.
It's amazing. I'm watching it now. I'm adoring it. Watch Kingdom of Heaven Director's Cut on Amazon. Okay.
I've seen Kingdom of Heaven.
What is it?
I don't remember.
Is that Chinese or something?
Kingdom of Heaven. I'm trying to think of the plot of that. I don't know. I'll have to look it up again. I don't remember that. It wasn't memorable enough to watch it.
Have you
yes,
seen
I have.
What do you think of it?
That's another dystopia. That's where I think I liked it.
Okay. Would either you have Owen Benjamin on any bets and when he goes full Koresh? I haven't talked to Owen in forever. I don't know what you mean by going full Koresh though.
Owen Benjamin. I don't know. I might have him on, but it would be. I mean, there's certain things that's like I don't know him, so I would have him on, and it would be fine, I guess. But like I saw him sort of start to melt down and do all that kind of stuff, and I feel like he's kind of created his own world of hurt. Like he didn't have to go down that road. And but I'm willing to have anybody on, really. I mean, because That's one of the things that annoys me about like the cancel culture stuff is like I can't talk to people like like so Facebook removed my interview with Gavin McGinnis because he's a dangerous person. Like there's nothing wrong with the interview. It's just because he's on it. He's the one I'm interviewing. They removed him. He's a dangerous person. So like that's a really big problem for me. That's way more. Yeah. I can understand if he was talking about something bad in the interview, sure. But just having certain people on that's the worst case of just depersoning and deplatforming.
Yeah, this person doesn't exist. It's Stalinist.
Right. I'm going to have Milo on next week. So like, well, hopefully that one doesn't get taken off.
Recommended book list. If you go to my Goodreads, you can sort by rating, and the 5-star ones are Goodreads for everyone. Your opinion on Nick Fuentes, Tim Pool, and Ryan Dawson.
Opinions on Nick Fuentes, I don't really like him, but it's a personal thing. It's not a ideological thing necessarily. I don't watch him. My first interaction with him was he was mad at me because I was not wearing a suit in the lobby of Trump Hotel.
Okay.
And he yelled at me on Twitter. So that was my first interaction with him. I'm not a fan of him personally, but whatever. Tim Pool, I liked him when I met him. He seemed nice. He seemed smart. And Ryan Dawson, I don't know.
Okay, I think we're almost done. Twitter was fired today. How's today different from any other day? I got to go back and see what's going on with Joe Jorgensen. That was pretty fun. And I think we got one more. BLM is a lynch mob. Humor me. The ontology of group mind must prevail in order for their tactics to be valid. Retaliatory murders are blood in their hands unless they renounce groupthink in favor of individuality. I don't really follow your train of thought. I think BLM has a lot of strains within it. There's people who are fellow travelers who are just genuinely like, I'm Black and I want a better life for my family. And then there's the leaders, the organizers who are probably hardcore Marxists and everything in between. And especially once it's become appropriated by corporate America, then it allows every white woman to speak on behalf of all Black people. So make sure you point that out to them. They love hearing that. Watch The Lighthouse. Did you see that?
The Lighthouse? No.
Yeah.
Hey,
with William Dafoe.
Here.
Willem Dafoe. Is that the Babby?
That's one of the babies.
How was Babby formed? Okay. I want to thank Carpe Donktum for being so generous with your time.
Come here, buddy. You can come say hi. Come here.
Are you going to sniff her hair? Oh, hello! I love your hair. I had hair like that when I was a kid. Oh my God, so cute. Oh my God.
You go over with Mama.
People can find you on Parler. They can find you on carpedonktum.locals.com, Instagram.com/carpe. I'll see you soon. Thank you, my friend, for taking this.
You can find me on Parler. You can find me on Locals. You can find me on Cloud Hub. You can find me on Instagram still, YouTube, Facebook.
Send me all the links and I'll add them. I already have 3 up and I'll add them in the comments so people can follow you and all those.
All right, perfect.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for the support, guys. I'll see you on Locals. Bye, guys.